Congressman Mike Flood of Nebraska, who hosted quite the town hall this week, is here. And it's great to have you, Congressman. We'll get to the town hall in a moment. But do you agree? Would you support redrawing the districts in Nebraska in the middle of the decade?
Well, let me tell you, I was the Speaker of the Nebraska Legislature for 6 years. I served there for 10. Remember, we have a unicameral. We also have the apportionment of our electoral votes by congressional district, where the Omaha district sends one this year for Kamala Harris, and the rest of the state did Donald Trump. I was supportive last year of switching to winner take all. And what I'll tell you is that states are sovereign. If they want to reapportion their districts, that is entirely up to the legislature. And I don't think you can serve in a legislature and be committed to the process if you're not willing to respect your own state sovereignty. You know, you can certainly disagree with the new lines, but it's entirely up to each state. The only thing I would say is every action in this game of 50 states has a reaction somewhere else. Every action has a reaction. So I assume if we're going down this path that somebody's mathed this all out, because certainly California will respond to Texas, and another state, you know, maybe Kentucky or somebody else responds to Indiana, for instance. Well, you know, who knows what we're really talking about here? But every action has a reaction, and it could change the face of Congress.
Yeah, and of course, Democrats do this, Republicans do this. But do you personally support it? Would you support it in the middle of the decade, which, as you know, is unusual? Typically, it happens around the census.
Well, it's going to be very hard to do in Nebraska because we were unsuccessful. And I was in Nebraska with Lindsey Graham last year trying to talk our legislature into changing to a winner-take-all state like everybody else except Maine. And we couldn't get the 33 out of 49 votes. So, yes, if the legislature has a majority and they can get the 33 votes required, absolutely, I'd support it.
Okay, so you'd support it if there's a majority. Yeah, Don Bacon says that there are conversations about this happening. I think one question some people might have is looking at this is, obviously, it's clear why the White House wanted Texas to do this. They want to make sure they have those extra seats to try to hold on to the Republican majority in Congress when the midterms happen next year. Some people might look at that and say, well, if the actions of what the Republican majority have been doing and they're as popular as the GOP says they are, why the need to redraw the maps in the middle of the decade?
I hate to keep coming back to this, but when I was working on winner take all last year, I had all these people around the nation say, why would you dare do that, Nebraska? Keep it the way it is. And I say to people in California and New York, well, if it's such a great idea to apportion our congressional districts to different candidates, why isn't California doing it? Why isn't New York doing it? Why isn't any other blue state doing it? Listen, this is a choice that's left up to the legislature, represented by and through the people, that would use the rules of its independent legislature in each state, whether they're House or Senate, or in my case, unicameral, to make a decision about how to draw the lines. If they choose to do it, fine. I think the bigger question here is, what does this make Congress look like? Hey, there could be some good things that come out of this for America, bigger than even the partisan shifts that we're talking about here.
But what if you talk about state sovereignty and saying, you know, if the majority does that and the state legislature wants to do that, then they should. But they're under pressure from the White House to do this. I mean, the White House are the ones who reached out to Texas and urged them to do this. They're now trying to get other states to do it, too.
Well, listen, Beto O'Rourke came to Omaha 2 nights ago, and his message to Democrats in Omaha was, you get ruthless. We will not get our power back unless we're ruthless. Like, we're up against people here that will do anything. Trust me. I've got people in costumes following me out of bathrooms in Lincoln, Nebraska. There is a problem in this country. Like, the Democrats are motivated. Their tagline is ruthless, and their goal is power. So yeah, that's the world we're living in.
I think some people might look at that and say, well, Beto O'Rourke is, you know, an unsuccessful Senate candidate. J.D. Vance is the vice president of the United States, putting that pressure on. But let me ask you, because you did have a raucous town hall the other night. I think a lot of people have seen it. Part of the questions that you were asked was about the bill that Republicans just passed in Congress. And because of higher borrowing costs, we actually have just heard from the Congressional Budget Office that now says that mega bill is actually going to add $4.1 trillion to the national debt. This is something that you personally have expressed concern about before. I wonder if, based on what you heard at that town hall, you're finding it harder to sell that bill than you maybe thought it would be.
Not at all. And to clarify, yes, I am concerned about the national debt, but I have always been consistent. We have to trim spending, which we did. We cut $2 trillion out of federal spending, the most we've ever cut in 50 years in this country. And you've got to grow the economy. You don't grow the economy by allowing tax cuts to regress and put a draconian blanket of taxes across every middle class American family. And I think there's one thing that we have to be really aware of here. In 2012, when President President Obama was working to extend the George W. Bush tax cuts, he had the same argument. He says, do not pay attention to the CBO numbers that you see here, because the policy of the United States now is that these taxes have been cut. President Trump, 25. This is a convenient line that the Democrats are using. And let's be honest, if the Democrats were in power, they'd be extending these very same tax cuts. The only difference today is that working class Americans are now, their heart and soul is with the Republican Party. And what people at that town hall discovered was that they were in a party adrift, not with the working class,
but this bill,
but with
obviously,
people that felt like you should not have to get a job and still get free health care. That's what they said to me.
Yeah, that was cheered when you had brought that up at one point. Obviously, there are questions about other people who do have jobs and whether or not they can still get Medicaid. But the bill did obviously a lot more than just extend the Trump tax cuts from last time around. And I do wonder, as we're watching this bill get passed, the ramifications of that, now seeing the tariffs go into full effect, if you're hearing concerns from farmers in Nebraska, who I know the last time Trump enacted tariffs on a much smaller scale, are they worried about these tariffs now that they're in full effect and how they're going to affect them?
I love that question, because I spent all day with farmers in Shelby and Rising City, Nebraska, and Butler County. And you know what they're saying? For the first time in a long time, we have a president that's paying attention to trade. Joe Biden was the first president since Jimmy Carter not to do a trade deal. When Mexico said, we won't take your white corn, Nebraska farmers said, please, President Biden, take the podium, go to bat for us. Crickets. At least when President Trump was there in 2017, he went to bat for the farmers. Yes, he used tariffs, but we got better deals from Canada, Mexico, and China. Farmers in Nebraska right now, we want to get into India. We want to get into Vietnam. We want to be into all these other countries that we believe he can get us into. And we'll be patient and hope that this gets done sooner rather than later. We've got a big harvest.
But last time they said
coming this fall.
The Nebraska Farm Bureau said in 2019 it cost them $1 billion. Is that something they can stomach again?
Well, the Nebraska Farm Bureau right now, let me tell you, prices on corn, it's $3.80 bushel right now. Soybeans are down. I was worried a year ago about this. We just don't have the markets to sell our crop, and we have such a good crop this year. Our yields will be high, but we're worried about what the price will be. Listen, this is complicated stuff. At least we have a president paying attention to trade. We hope that this is all, figured out by Christmas time, because we crave the predictability and we crave the reliability of our trading partners. But the reality is, we've been beaten out by other countries for too long because Joe Biden and others have been asleep at the wheel.
Congressman Mike Flood, we'll see what happens by Christmas. Obviously, a key timeline here. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Have a good night.